When celebrities make a cameo in a show, the fans go crazy. But if you are not an actor, you should probably stay away from acting. In this video, we will be taking a look at top 15 horribly awkward TV cameos in this history. Let's get started, shall we? 15. will.i.am, Joan of Arcadia. We're not dogging will.i.am's acting chops here because he's actually not half bad. We're only deducting points for his pointless appearance.
You wanna play?
It's a trick.
You think I can see you, Joan? But what kind of guy would I be if I played tricks on my people?
He makes an appearance as God in the Independence Day episode, taking the shape of a 3-card Monty player, and uses the card game as a metaphor to give Joan life advice. His appearance in the episode is utterly needless. A regular actor would have done a far better job, and it just seems like a way to appease the teenage audience of Joan of Arcadia. That being said, you most likely wouldn't even realize that will.i.am is someone special if you didn't know who they are actually. 14. Boy George. The A-Team. Is there a more odd match than Boy George in this team? In the middle of the 1980s, the A-Team was a hugely successful program. It followed 4 former members of the Special Forces as they broke out of a military jail and became mercenaries, generally doing good deeds.
I'm looking for Cowboy George. Boy George. Hi.
Despite its occasional humor, it was frequently criticized for its brutality and misogyny. That's why it was so startling to see Boy George featured. In the play, Boy George triumphs against Mr. T's B.A. Baracus and finds himself playing to a bar full of rugged, good old lads who love the country. Although we can't be certain, we don't think Culture Club is appropriate for them. Say ratings ploy with me, please. 13. Tom Morello, Star Trek, Voyager. Obviously made cameos are of the worst type. In this particular case, Tom Morello's portrayal of crewman Mitchell is perfect. Mitchell emerges out of nowhere in the scenario and provides Janeway guidance. After a brief, uncomfortable exchange, during which Morello looks straight into the camera, Janeway turns to leave. Morello is a fan of Star Trek, and the son of series producer Rick Berman is a fan of Morello's work in Rage Against the Machine and Audio Slave. The scene screams, "We just wanted to hang out with Tom Morello for a day." So it could have easily been skipped from the show, right? 12. Wayne Gretzky. The young and the restless professional sportsmen don't frequently appear in television shows, and soap opera appearances are rarer still. And this is the reason. Although Wayne Gretzky is without a doubt the best scorer the NHL has ever seen, he has to work on his acting. It turns out that Gretzky's character was a crime boss in the episode, although you wouldn't know it from his lifeless and stiff delivery. Despite being brief, the entire scene seems fake and pointless, and Gretzky is arguably the least menacing mafia leader to ever appear on TV. We're guessing it wasn't long after this appearance that the Great One put his acting career on ice. 11. Alice Cooper, Monk. The San Francisco garbage collectors go on strike in the episode Mr. Monk and the Garbage Strike, and Monk becomes dizzy from the stench of garbage. As Monk cleans up the city by himself, he tells his colleagues that he has the case solved in his mind. As he explains, the real Alice Cooper is a collector of antique wing chairs and committed murder when he discovered that the head of the sanitation union had one that he wanted. Alice is shown hissing at the camera and stroking a chair while this is being stated. It's really strange and uncomfortable, but that's Monk for you. 10. Michael Stipe. The Adventures of Pete and Pete. Early in the 1990s, Rem was hugely successful, and as a result, frontman Michael Stipe made one rather embarrassing guest appearance. In a special Pete and Pete episode, Stipe plays Captain Scrummy, a dealer of sludgicles. Even though Stipe is a fantastic vocalist, his acting is... We know that Pete and Pete is a purposefully ludicrous and corny show, but there is a line between corny acting done well and corny acting done poorly. This was the latter. Stipe makes some really strange facial expressions, and his speech remains quite monotonous for the whole of the scene. It's surreal, but not in a good way. 9. Larry David, Hannah Montana. The audience for Hannah Montana is the one that would appreciate a Larry David appearance, right? The creator of Seinfeld and Curb Your Enthusiasm, Larry David, made an almost random appearance in the episode My Best Friend's Boyfriend, portraying the iconic Larry David persona. By no means was he awful. In fact, he was rather entertaining. Seeing a comic great appear in a children's program is just so strange, and his humor style doesn't really fit with Hannah Montana's. Although David's real daughters, who are huge fans, were able to join him on the show thanks to his presence, but the odd pairing remains awkward. 8. Quentin Tarantino. All-American Girls. As everyone knows, one of the greatest filmmakers of the last few decades is Quentin Tarantino. However, it's also common knowledge that he lacks strength as an actor, particularly when he shares screen time with industry heavyweights like Jamie Foxx and Samuel L. Jackson. A single episode of the short ABC comedy All-American Girl featured Quentin. Yes, the constant Tarantino puns were entertaining, but the man was still uncomfortable and fast-talking as usual. As if all of that wasn't awful enough, his on-screen chemistry with Margaret Cho was, to put it mildly, not particularly pleasant. It's strange to think that Tarantino moved straight from Pulp Fiction to this. 7. Macy Gray, Fuller House. In the strangely named Funner House, the third episode of Fuller House, the group encounters Macy Gray in a nightclub. Okay, let's start by addressing the obvious. Macy Gray. Why? Despite her exceptional vocals and talent, her most recent successful album was released in 1999. We don't believe there is much of a market for Macy Gray cameos. Later on in the episode, Gray answers our question when she clumsily promotes her new album, though the self-deprecating joke that follows is really very entertaining. It's the one good thing about this embarrassing and badly performed appearance, isn't it? 6. Donald Trump, the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. It's Donald Trump. Do we really need to say more? The family receives an enormous offer for their home from an unidentified buyer in the 4th season episode, For Sale by Owner. It turns out that this buyer is none other than the Trumpmeister. Amidst an exceedingly cheesy and overly scripted spectacle that includes a huge proclamation and Carlton fainting with enthusiasm, Donnie T appears awkwardly. Then, after giving a series of terribly paced, monotonous lines and prances around the set, Trump behaves clumsily and leaves the scene in less than 2 minutes. Fresh Prince. You can do better. 5. Paris Hilton, Veronica Mars. Over the years, Paris Hilton has made several appearances. One such appearance was on Supernatural when she played a goddess. And they've all been really astonishing, as you can probably expect. Her cameo as Caitlin Ford in Veronica Mars Episode 2 is probably the most awkward one. She is given a significant role in this, yet her character is completely undeveloped. This kind of appearance is really out of character for the show, and it sounds like network meddling. It appears as though UPN was prepared to compromise the standard and character of its program in order to please its audience. 4. Jean-Claude Van Damme, Friends. His acting abilities were never truly well known. Instead, we knew him for his fighting prowess and wished that was all we knew. The Friends episode, the one after the Super Bowl, in which Jean-Claude Van Damme made an appearance, is well named given the overall caliber of the show. They obviously wanted to appeal to a wide range of audiences, including football and Van Damme enthusiasts who may not often watch Friends. However, his awkward and chemistry-free inclusion felt like a relatively obvious ratings ploy. 3. Hulk Hogan, Randy Savage, and Ric Flair, Baywatch. Some of the most recognizable wrestlers in the history of the sport, including Ric Flair, Randy Savage, and Hulk Hogan, rose to prominence in the 1980s and 1990s. What else was in style in the 1990s? Baywatch. And you better believe that the two ended up together. The result? One of the most silly episodes of television you'll ever watch. The three wrestlers made an appearance in the WCW pay-per-view event-themed episode Bash at the Beach, which was blatantly promoted by the company. In order to determine the future of a youth center, Ric Flair challenged Randy Savage and Hulk Hogan to a wrestling bout. We wish this was all in our imagination. 2. Kim and Khloe Kardashian, 90210. The only reason these two are at the top isn't because they are Kardashians. Even Snoop Dogg, who we adore, looked incredibly uncomfortable on 90210. The Kardashians deserve some credit for not being the worst actresses ever. It's just a completely pointless and grating scene that serves no purpose other than to scream, "Look, we have the Kardashians on our show," and to promote their sister's expensive and luxurious clothing line. A terrible plot, some underwhelming performances, and blatant celebrity promotion combined give you nothing but an unforgettable TV appearance. 1. Justin Bieber. CSI, Crime Scene Investigation. Who approved Justin Bieber to star in a CSI episode? Excuse us, 2. CSI episodes because, well, why not? In the 11th season, Bieber played bomber and serial killer Jason McCann. Really, when Justin Bieber was cast as a serial killer, many viewers claimed that CSI had completely lost its credibility. Bieber's childlike features and squeaky voice made him seem about as menacing as your kind grandmother baking cookies, and his acting is at best wooden. And then they shoot him, which was almost certainly scripted solely to go viral. And that concludes today's video, which I hope you found interesting and shocking. Do remember to like and subscribe to our channel down below. To ensure that you never miss an upload, tap the bell icon. Comment down all your opinions and feedback, and I'll see you all again in the next one.